Super awkward Funcast. You're listening to the Super Awkward Funcast. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of this long-ass running show, the Super Awkward Funcast, which you can find exclusively on YouTube, which you are listening to right now. There. It used to be on all the podcast sites through my RSS feed from Podbean, but now that is no longer the case. And now we are pretty visual, so I'm giving you all of these clips and images and things, and I'm actually doing thumbnails, which I hope you're enjoying. I wasn't super crazy about the last one, but it was what it was. And I have eyes, and I see that the last episode didn't really get a lot of attention for whatever reason, and it focused mainly on the It Ends With Us lawsuit between Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and Ryan Reynolds and his wife, Blake Lively. And it looks like a lot of people missed out on that episode, or maybe they didn't want to watch it. That's fine. You're free to do that. But I do thank you also for giving love to the wonderful old episodes, like the Funkive episodes. So Under the Doma we have here. Oops. Don't listen to that. This I renamed, or I gave it a title for the first episode of the podcast, which was only 57 minutes and 32 seconds. Maybe we should do that again. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long this one goes. Hopefully no more than an hour and a half. Then we had the second one that I released here, Alec Baldwin Stop Being a Dumbass. So you can check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Again, there's no visuals for these. They're the original podcast, which was audio only, and came out in 2013, to give you a little background. And I had some great guests on, and I want to give them a shout out. Thank you so much for contributing to the show. The next episode is going to be released fairly soon. I already edited it and it's ready to go. It's privated on here, so I just need to put in all the details, and number 3 is up, and so look out for that. And if you liked the game The Porn Identity, we played it again in that episode, so enjoy that. So yeah, basically that's what's happening with the show. I don't have any plans on any other material on this website for any future like reviews and that sort of thing. I'm not really focusing on that right now. If you haven't noticed the title, it's called Blame Canada, and I do want to segue into the fact that I am going to Canada, and I should be there the next day after this is released, barring any complications with the flight. Come on, Air Canada. I'm counting on you. Don't fuck me up. So let's hope this isn't the last episode. Let's not be morbid, but I don't know. Shit keeps happening and things fall out of the air all the time, so it's a little concerning. With that in mind, okay, so Blame Canada will relate to many things, and one of those is Ryan Reynolds. So I don't want to do a deep dive into Ryan Reynolds and his weird behavior. Anyone can do that. You can find multiple videos of the gentleman and how crazy he is. And he seems to have a lot of psychopathic tendencies or sociopathic. I don't know what the hell is the problem, but he's an odd bird, that one. And he's from Canada, and you can have him back. That's all I want to say. I'm going to Canada specifically to ask Canada to take him back. We do not want him anymore. He is not needed. Please take him back. with that in mind, also, let's do an update on the case. I didn't even get this ready, but let me go ahead and go into my podcast files. Bleep, 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 bleep. And Lively versus Wayfarer. All right, so what he did recently is why I'm mentioning him. This motherfucker had a memorandum of law in support of a motion to dismiss his case that's against him from Wayfarer Studios, which includes Baldoni and his business partners, producers and such. I don't know where his motion to dismiss was. I don't know when the hell that happened. I can't remember when that happened. But I know he had some vitriol in it. It was very vitriolic. Is this it? I think this is it. All right. This motherfucker basically said throughout this motion that he called him a predator in private, and he believed it at the time. But even if he didn't, there's nothing wrong with saying it because it was in private and it wasn't publicly posted. And yet the person he was alleged to have said that Justin Baldoni is a predator to was his boss, Ari Emanuel. Shout out to him. He just had a good payday with his company Endeavor and a private, I forgot what they call it. Private fund, whatever. Silver Lake. And then also resigning as a CEO and just staying on the board, which had nothing to do with him doing a podcast, Freakonomics, where he said that he was ride or die for Lively and Reynolds, and that he was the one who got Justin Baldoni or Baloney or whatever his name is, as he quoted by him. That's a quote from him. Fired. So if you're saying a statement that you believe is true or you don't believe is true, whatever it is, to a person in private, and they cancel that person, they literally cancel a contract with that person, they fire them. That's not free speech, babe. That's not an opinion. That's not gonna get you off of this case. So there's that, and then there's all the stuff that he says that he's claiming proves that Justin Baldoni is a predator, because Justin Baldoni has made all these statements on his podcast where he's trying to be a better man and everything. So he goes through all of that and all these statements that he's cherry picked. They're so good at cherry picking. They should do that for a living instead of acting. And writing. And he's not that great a writer, let's be honest, Ryan Reynolds. And I did watch the Deadpool movie. I'm doing my due diligence. I watched It Ends With Us to really get into the case and know what was going on. And I watched Deadpool and Wolverine so that I could see all the nice pool scenes, which were alleged by Wayfarer to have defamed Justin Baldoni further, which he admits in this, Ryan, that he based it on him and that he that he was thin-skinned with his outrage. Where is that? I don't know where that is, but I'm trying to find it. Oh, yeah, here we go. I think this is it. No, that's not it. Hurt feelings. He says the lawsuit is about hurt feelings, which were mentioned in a motion from Brian Friedman, the attorney for Justin Baldoni. That was a direct quote, but it was misinterpreted because he's basically saying he can't take a joke and this is all about hurt feelings. Oh my gosh, he got his feelings hurt, poor baby. When he's claiming that, or not, his wife is claiming that as well for the emotional distress. Okay, here it is. The Wayfarer parties attempt but fail to assert 6 causes of action as to Mr. Reynolds. Each fails to plead facts sufficient to establish a prima facie case as a matter of law. For example, the plaintiffs collectively assert a claim for defamation without pleading a single complete statement or identifying the time or place of such statement, nor can they because no such defamatory statement exists. This is bullshit because it was alleged with a time and date, which was the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere, that he said that he was a predator, which was alleged also a sexual predator, not just predator, but they keep focusing on that, so I'm mentioning that. To Ari Emanuel. So that's pretty much where it happened and when it happened. So I'm just saying. Further, the entirety of plaintiff's defamation claim appears to be based on 2 times that Mr. Reynolds allegedly called Mr. Baldoni a predator. But the FAC, or the First Amendment complaint, alleges no plausible facts that suggest Mr. Reynolds did not believe this comment to be true. Instead, the relevant FAC allegations suggest that Mr. Reynolds genuinely, perhaps passionately, believes that Mr. Baldoni's behavior is reflective of a predator. Even if the FAC plausibly alleged that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator while believing the opposite, which it does not, just got to go after every angle, right? The law establishes that calling someone a predator amounts to constitutionally protected opinion, even if it's their boss. Yeah, okay. And the FAC's thin-skinned outrage over a movie character, the satirical woke Nice Pool, which we'll look at in a minute, does not even pretend to be tied to any actual legal claims. Instead, it falls into the FAC's general allegation of hurt feelings, which in reality is nothing more than a desperate effort to advance the same curated bully image that the Wayfarer parties created and disseminated in the retaliation campaign they launched against Miss Lively in August of 2024. So then he goes on to tackle all of these claims and everything and the arguments against them. He's really trying, but like grasping at so many straws. And this is what basically this assured that this case is definitely going to trial. I mean, not definitely, nothing's definite, but it's so full of vitriol, you just have to read it to know that there's no way you can settle after this. Nobody is settling. And the trial again is March 9th, 2026. So we got a long time. All right. Anyway, the conclusion, if we want to get to that, all claims against Mr. Reynolds should be dismissed with prejudice and without leave to amend, and the court should award Mr. Reynolds his costs, including attorney's fees incurred as a result of the consolidated action. Remember, these cases are all together. And now we got a new case, which includes the PR people. That's what I like to say. Jennifer Abel and just Stephanie Jones, where this all originated. And that one, they've just issued the summons and executed them. And that's where we're at in the case. So we've not had anyone dismissed yet. I guess the best chance is the New York Times, which did have a defamatory video, which I don't really want to get into because I want to focus on the Canada of it all, and Nice Pool and Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds and his. By the way, he's been more predatory in actual situations, because if you look into it, again, we're not doing a deep dive, believe me, but if you look into his stuff, he's had statements where he said that he looked at a woman breastfeeding for quite a long time, which is an accusation against Baldoni and Jamie Heath, the co-defendants in Lively's case, that they were looking at her boobs basically while she was breastfeeding. So he did that for real and admitted to it, or didn't do it and still admitted to it and said it. as a joke or whatever. And then he also claims that during the change up, and I watched that in the theater back in the day when it came out, with Olivia Wilde in a scene with her, that he covered her boobs to keep her decent in front of the crew members. But he realized while he was doing that, there's a fine line between chivalry and sexual assault or something to that effect. So there's that as well. And then there was another situation, which we'll get to in a moment, which was recent, where he had a line. Whether he wrote it or not, we don't know, because there's 4 fucking writers in the script, the Deadpool script. But he had a line that was given to a child as Kidpool. And at the time when I watched it, I assumed it was some boy. Like, I would hope that it was a boy saying this line. And it turned out that it was his daughter, who was 7 at the time, allegedly. I think she was 7. And so that was weird. But yeah, let's get to this part, the defamatory stuff. So we'll look at some of the video evidence for the court. We'll play the nice pool scenes and see if any of it looks kind of familiar, if you know the case, of what Justin Baldoni is like, and if this is just parody and is just totally protected. And this definitely could be. I think this could be considered that, but I think what he did that went over the line was saying sexual predator about Baldoni to his employer. I think that goes beyond defamation. Defamation. That's defamatory behavior. Thank you very much. But anyway, let's go through this and we'll see how much we can get through without copyright getting in the way, and I'll try and like have little spurts where I say something so I don't get claimed or whatever.
Sorry about that. But in here everybody calls me Nice Pool. Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're Deadpool too. She just had a baby too and can't even tell. Plated 50.
Okay, that comment that he just made, she just had a baby too and you can't even tell. He says that it's alleged. There's stuff about Baldoni asking about his wife's weight, and he went crazy. He doesn't go crazy about the sexual harassment or anything that is alleged, but he does go crazy about his wife being inquired about her weight because of a lift scene that Justin Baldoni is supposed to perform as Ryle Kincaid, the character that he plays in the It Ends With Us movie. Which, by the way, I want you to keep in mind that It Ends With Us was filming around the same time as Deadpool and Wolverine. And Lady Pool in this is played by, or voiced by, at least, Blake Lively. And there was a stunt woman and everything who was supposed to, or the double or whatever, who was supposed to be playing her in the suit. So she's not there because she's too fat or whatever. I don't know why. But, because she just had a baby. So he's referencing his own wife there. And you got to also consider, if you don't know Deadpool, the series, the franchise, he breaks the fourth wall like all the fucking time. So this character is basically Ryan Reynolds in a nutshell. And now we're just like paused on his package because he focuses on that quite a lot. I think he's upset that he's not packing as much as Baldoni. I don't know exactly what else that could be referring to there. But this is like his character, a caricature of what the nicest version of Deadpool could be. And he basically modeled it on Justin Baldoni, whom he had had some text with at the beginning of the production and asked for some days to not work or whatever, like was really trying to get the schedule worked out for his wife. He seems to be very in control of his wife, I'm just saying. And if he's in control of his wife, he should be in this case because she's the one she made these moves probably at his behest, as is what it seems. And also with Stephanie Jones precipitating everything with the leaking of the messages to them with no subpoena, as far as we can tell, for the New York Times article, which started this whole fucking thing. So anyway, yeah. So we're looking at his dick right now. um. So yeah, basically that's what's happening. Is they're just making fun of him, and it's an inside joke. This whole movie was kind of an inside joke, but these scenes were inside jokes to the max.
50 caliber Desert Eagle pistoleros? Of course. To match my ear huggy. That's okay. I identify as a feminist. And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins.
Okay, they're skipping a lot of the parts. Like when he said the thing about her looking good after the baby or whatever, he said, you're not supposed to say that. And this is Deadpool saying that. And Deadpool saying that just doesn't ring true at all, because that's actually Ryan Reynolds saying that, because no way would Deadpool have a problem with that. He literally has so many sexual assault. I will get to that, but like so many sexual assault jokes in this, but he's so fucking, I can't. And predator jokes, like he literally says predator. I can't. You have inserted yourself into this drama and you are not getting out. I don't think he should get out. It's just so obvious he's obsessed with this man. It's so obvious. This dog is the ugliest dog allegedly, and it's supposed to represent his wife. I'm just saying that's so weird. But anyway, let's continue.
AKA dog pool and G-spot, and she'll let you know it. Over my dead body. You're fun. She started shopping for a new papa. Why are you so nice?
See, the thing about this is they're kind of clipping it too much. But he's basically saying that if he leaves, he said he leaves the dog alone for a little while and she starts shopping for a new papa, which people are alleging is referring to Justin Baldoni being close to his wife on set of It Ends With Us. And also consider that they had a lot of chemistry. Like, I watched that movie, chemistry out the ass. So much chemistry. It was insane. And don't forget that that Ryan Reynolds and Lively met on set of the Green Lantern. I almost said Hornet. Whichever one it was shit. But they were on there and they got close and they had a dancing scene. It's just so weird because that's how they got together. And after 4 babies, you got to be wondering how long she's going to stick around, I guess.
It costs nothing to be kind. Where's your mask? Yeah, but Merc to Merc, you better hope that you don't run into the Deadpool Corps. They're crazy. Guilty on all charges, Your Honor. It shan't happen again. Caliente. Go on, guys. Yeah, that's 12 clicks due west. I can lend you my ride if you like.
Okay, I'm going to skip to the more relevant part. I wish we had CCs because I don't want to get copyright claimed. No, not this one. Also involved in this whole thing is Hugh Jackman, because he was in this fucking movie and saw some of this stuff and participated in the scenes. So sucks to be him, but whatever.
Come here, girl. Papa's here. Hey, do not insult this. What's it gonna be, girl?
The proposal.
Oh. You smell something?
Yeah, you.
Told you there are a lot of Deadpools over there. I'd love to get in the mix, but I have low bone density and I have to keep my face safe. Boys, mission over. Cause of death, 100 kill-thirsty Deadpools. That's Kid Pool. She's the dirtiest. Can we just be done?
Oh, that's Kid Pool. She's the dirtiest. Also, I didn't hear the she when I was watching it. I just assumed it was a boy because I just didn't expect that language out of a girl. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure Kid Pool is not supposed to be a girl, because there were rumblings about this Walker Scobell, I think, kid who worked with Ryan on the Atom Project, which I have not seen and probably won't. But he was alleged to have been too old for the character at 14, so I don't know. But anyway, if we could skip to the part which really fucks everything up. So there's this scene. I'm just going to show it. I'm not going to play any more dialogue. What is that? Like, he's just getting shot and killed very slowly. And then he's like, don't worry, you're okay, you're okay. And who's shooting him? Ladypool, who is represented by his wife. His wife is voicing her. What the fuck? And in front of a flower shop too, which is the whole Lily Bloom thing, and It Ends With Us. There's his head. Don't lose your head. He's dead and he's trying to revive him. Oh my gosh, it's so obvious. Like, they basically defamed him they made fun of him and then they killed him off. And just you're hurt. You got hurt feelings. You just can't take a joke, basically. It's insane. That dog is just, wow. There she is. There's the stunt chick. Yep. All right. So basically that's that. And then here's the stuff I was talking about, like the jokes that are in this movie that you're putting in this movie whilst you believe, I just can't, it's hilarious. It's insane. You believe your wife was sexually harassed. So you put in jokes about sexual harassment and assault in your movie. Or you let them put in jokes. I don't know who puts these jokes in, but he approves them because he's part of the script writing team. Here we go.
Oh, fuck off! Adorn me, Beardo!
He felt his dick. He just felt his dick. It's okay because it's Deadpool. I don't. Smacked his ass, felt his dick again. More sexual assault.
Fucking A! It's perfect!
Oh my gosh. And then he says, by the way, that guy's a predator, but I loved it. He says he loves the sexual assault. I'm supposed to take this guy seriously, who says he loves a predator sexually assaulting him. And I'm supposed to believe that he's so butthurt over Baldoni being a predator and preying on his wife, even though he never mentioned it and we have no evidence that he believes that in any of the text messages, in any of the evidence that we've seen so far, or she believes it for that matter. And we have no evidence of him going crazy over it. We only have him going crazy in a meeting over her being asked what her weight was by Baldoni to the personal trainer. I mean, what the fuck? All right, here's the other thing.
Set to convey a feeling to the crew, the camera operators, and the performers. This is one of the biggest laughs in the movie that I don't think we ever saw coming quite this big, the fourth wall break.
I can gently tap the fourth wall, too. The proposal. Good God.
That was not that funny. I'm sorry. I did not laugh at that, but okay.
It's so ridiculous.
That's what I do. I fucking hate Nice Pool. Worse than Deadpool does.
And here we introduce the Deadpool core.
I fucking hate Nice Pool more than Deadpool does. Gee, I wonder why. This is the commentary, by the way. The DVD commentary, or whatever they call that nowadays. For Deadpool and Wolverine. With Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy, or whatever his name is. Who gives a shit? He's killed his career. This is insane.
Yeah, I know.
They say everything. They get caught so many times saying shit through this case. It's ridiculous. Lively and Reynolds.
I know it. The Deadpool core, when I first joined this project at Ryan's invitation, I asked Marvel to bury me in comics. And one of the things that I did not know about until I steeped myself in the comics was the core and how fucking cool they are. Mm-hmm. And we knew we wanted to find somewhere that made story sense where we could bring in all these Deadpool variants, and many are comic actors.
By the way, that baby in there, that's their baby. They had 2 of their relatives in this movie. By the way, one of the allegations in the complaint of Blake Lively, is that the OBGYN character is played by an actor who's a friend of Justin Baldoni's. Meanwhile, they're putting 2 of their kids in this R-rated movie. The nepotism of it all.
Accurate.
There's Olin.
But that's Ryan's son, my godson, Olin,
yeah.
Who is the voice of Baby Pool. And many of these are from the comics. Some, like Welsh Pool, are straight out of Ryan Reynolds' brain and heart.
Played by Paul Mullen right there. Wrexham AFC striker Paul Mullen, number 10 on your amp over.
I don't know why Nice Pool's so Canadian, but somehow we just decided early on that he would pronounce sorry like sorry, and Nice Pool would talk like both our mothers and honor our homeland.
And then he would have low bone density.
Low bone density. Okay, so if you look at that, like, again, there's no case against the Nice Pool kid. Like, it is protected. That, I feel like, is not going to go very far. if we continue with that. I think the amended complaint, and it should be that Baldoni and company, Wayfarer parties, are gonna amend their complaint again. They should take out the Nice Pool stuff, because we all know what happened with Nice Pool. It's already clear as day that happened, but that's not defamation. Let's just be honest. We got to be honest. The defamation comes from the predator remark to an employer of the man who is seeking damages. That is where the meat of the argument is for me. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure this isn't defamation. But it is interesting in terms of the case to see how it was played.
Cool Prime here. Poor guy.
Our fight isn't with you. When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth.
That's guiltily.
Listen to this very closely.
That is my daughter, Inez.
I'm so sorry we have to admit that.
And I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language, which, to her credit, she really didn't want to say, and then came back later and said, I want to say it now, when I started looking at other people to play
Yeah,
it.
but Ryan, to our discredit, we made Nezzy do, I'm not shitting you, 70 to 500 versions of that line.
Yeah, I'm going to pay for that later.
I'm going to pay for that later. This is from 4 months ago. Like, this is relatively new information. So people say, oh my gosh, I don't know how these bots are getting 2 years from Deadpool and Wolverine. That came out like last year, a few months ago. That was not that long ago. But anyway, it came out on the same day as It Ends With Us, which was on purpose, I'm sure. And so just keep in mind that that's their fucking 7-year-old girl, and that's not her mother. That's a stunt double, but she's playing that character. It's insane. That's fucking insane to me. And 70 to 500 times, I shit you not, said Sean. Because it's really funny when kids say silly things, right? But that's not just a silly thing. That's a sexual thing. And that is gross. And even a child of 7 who was a dude it's kind of weird to say, but it's especially weird for a girl to say that. I'm sorry. It's just weird.
Blake Lively there as Lady Pool, Lady
Matthew
Deadpool.
McConaughey as Cowboy Pool.
McConaughey showing up like a champ for us.
What a dreamboat that guy is. What a movie.
Well, shit. You're in the case. No, but Blake Lively, that is not her. Like, that is not Blake Lively. I guess at this point they were still pretending that was her, but she's just voicing her. They don't explain that, but yeah.
Movie star in the most classic and amazing way.
Nathan Fillion as Headpool.
Love Nathan Fillion. Whoa.
Damn, so many people were involved in this mess. And also this movie, it was just all fan service. That's the whole movie for me, is fan service. This is the part in front of the flowers that he gets shot and killed. Why, Ryan?
This is an example Ryan talks about making me laugh on set. This was one where it really got me. Ryan really committed to the absurdity and the sweet, innocent, oblivious idiocy of Nice Pool.
So much of this
Let's hear.
was kind of made up on the day, too. All the multiverse.
Oh, really?
Almost all of it, Ryan. Oh, yeah. I have to tell you, so much of this, we pre-rehearsed this. Every once in a while, we'll rehearse a few days before the shooting day. And we did so on this scene, and we made up this entire premise of using Nice Pool as a human shield. Yeah. And this...
They made it up on the day. It was not written beforehand. This was after some shit went down on the Ends With Us set. It's so obvious. It's so obvious.
Whole pause right here with two of my favorite lines. Why are we stopping? And then the answer.
Hey, why are we stopping? Just catching my breath. What are your legs on vacation? You're dead weight. It's because I'm paralyzed.
This moment coming up, which is incredible, but...
Oh my gosh. And it's just, I don't even know how much Sean knew about everything that was going on. If he was just manipulated into doing all this shit and he was like, okay, it doesn't make sense, but I'll go along. Or maybe there was so much they could do with Nice Pool that they could couch it in so much humor regarding Canadians and all that stuff.
true. When we did a practical effect blasting Deadpool's face with the remains and viscera of Nicepool's skull, it landed 2 perfect red droplets of blood, coincidentally, in the iris area of Deadpool's mask. Yeah. And so what you see here is real in his eyes.
Okay. Great story. Cool story, bro. But not only, let's get more into it, because not only was Deadpool and Wolverine partly about It Ends With Us and the drama behind the scenes and what, again, if he thought he was a predator, why was he Nicepool? And why was he not like the tailor? Like, there are so many issues with his argument that I would bring that up, I guess, is that you parodied him in Nicepool. That's fine. But you didn't make him out to be a predator. You just made him kind of a fake feminist. It's a little weird to me. And so then, not only did he contribute to that film, he contributed to his wife's film. And this is one of his fucking contributions. And we still don't know what the fuck is going on in this whole thing. And oh God is correct. Oh my gosh, if I believed in him. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is from Ryan Reynolds' own page from 7 months ago. It ends with us during the promo, during the period where they kept Baldoni from the rest of the cast. They weren't able to promote anything together, and it was just the crew, so including Brandon Sklenar here, who is the other character who's in love with Lily Bloom in the movie, but is not the featured character as a love interest at all. So this doesn't even make sense in regards to his character, because his character doesn't get anywhere near Ryan's wife. But here we go. Oh dear.
God, it's cool. It's not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the schedule.
Dive in, shall we? So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and I'm sorry, what do you call her? Do you guys have a nickname or something? Okay, no, just so it's Mrs. Okay. I saw this photo. It was very suggestive. So I got it right here. I'm gonna get right to it. How do you explain that? Is that genetics? You have some sort of like low-angle squat routine to pop that region in that way? I mean, what's going on here, man? Are you smuggling pumpkins?
Are you gay, Ryan? Are you gay? Like, what possesses him to do this? And by the way, she's there during this. So his wife is allegedly directing this whole thing. It's a whole big mess. This whole case is insane because, again, it's just ridiculous. Like, they're wasting so much money and time, but keep wasting it and keep trying to sell your gin, Ryan. I'm sure that'll recoup the cost of the trial.
Got a couple of small pumpkins there. Jesus Christ, my heart is beating like crazy right now. It reminds me when I went on that meth journey, confront my inner child.
And it wasn't a meth journey. I think you mean like ayahuasca, like South American plant known for its medicinal benefits. Definitely not meth. You should not be doing a meth journey.
Oh my gosh, who wrote this? Like, who fucking wrote this? Honestly. And it gets worse because not only is it these two talking about shit that doesn't even make sense, Ryan's mother gets in on the action.
Hello, Brandon.
No.
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest, and the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan.
Nobody's trying to replace him, and it's certainly not this guy who's barely a love interest in this fucking movie.
Dive in, shall we?
Should we not dive in?
Mom, it's Ryan. I wrote all these questions, but don't tell Brandon. I didn't expect to love him so much, so don't fucking blow this for me. Oh my God, that language.
Seriously, can we just...
Why would you do this? You bring in your mother? I have questions.
You don't have to do this. I mean, I'm not crazy about interviews.
Brandon, I saw the film, and may I say, you are incredible in this movie. On a scale from 1 to 2, I stopped taking my blood thinner medication, because if I can't have you, I don't want me.
Mrs. Reynolds, you should probably keep taking your medication. And I'm a little worried about your son. Like, he's for sure addicted to meth, right?
Oh, and while they're doing this, you just got to keep in mind that Baldoni's on the other side doing his own thing and talking about domestic abuse, which is what this fucking movie was about. Keep in mind. This is not some comedy. This is not a romantic comedy. Oh my gosh. So much ridiculous shit in the promo period during this. Oh, it's all Sony's fault because they said, look, focus on the uplifting message of Lily Bloom and her empowerment. what does this have to do with her empowerment? What does this have to do with the marketing plan that is in the First Amendment complaint of Lively, where it says, Sony told us to do this. Sony did not tell you to use Wolverine and Deadpool in this way. Oh yeah, Wolverine comes in. They did not tell you to do this. Unless they were trying to put Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine with It Ends With Us as a double feature, which a lot of people are suggesting, which is insane because they're totally different movies. But I guess Barbie and Oppenheimer, yeah, that shit doesn't happen twice, but okay. And also, I didn't like that the first time.
And living with Ryan must have been incredibly hard for him.
Bro, I don't feel very comfortable asking this question.
Nope, I got it. I'll get it. Here, I can do that. You're not going to read it. I will then. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
one. It says Ryan would love to have a new dad to have a catch. And I think he could really use a man in his life. Hugh is no spring chicken anymore. Blink once for yes, or blink once for I'd love to be your new dad. He blinked. He blinked.
This is ridiculous. And this dude is questioning all of his life choices at this moment and at this moment right now, because he is in this whole shit too, where he tried to promote the ridiculousness of the NYT article in the beginning, and the complaint and everything that Blake filed through the CRD, which started this whole thing. And then later on, he's asked on the red carpet and at these events, and he's like, I just want the focus to be on the movie, blah, 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 and doesn't want to talk about it anymore. Okay. All right, so then we have it get really weird at the end. Yep.
No.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate.
Holy shit.
I've never done an interview before, but I've done a lot of things, like crazy things in Australia. You do understand you can't even get into preschool unless you take a person's life with your own bare hands. Twice.
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Murder. Let's talk about murder while we're promoting, allegedly, a domestic abuse film. What? The comments are like, what, too?
So listen, I've just got one question. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
Sir, I have no idea what's happening at all today. But I do have to say, while I have you here, your work in Les Mis, what a triumph. I mean, I am a huge fan. You can do it all. You're a unicorn.
That jawline. Is that the way he finds the light?
No, it's like the light finds him. It's just like,
That's exactly right.
That's what I was expecting.
It's like a whole fucking shitty Jimmy Kimmel spoof thing.
Not to like him.
Oh, yeah.
But he is so nice.
He's the nicest guy.
So
Everyone's
funny,
nice, but
charming,
he's-
kind.
Yeah.
What a wonderful guy.
What is ayahuasca?
You also gotta wonder if they originally wanted this to be with Justin and he was like, fuck that. Or Justin was out of the situation by the time they needed to shoot this shit. And they just replaced it with the other love interest, who's not even a love interest, technically, for most of the film. I mean, he's there. But he's not, like, fucking her. Ryle's the one fucking her. Anyway. That happened. So, blame Canada. I don't know if I blame Canada, but I blame Ryan Reynolds. Definitely. And in other news, in more world news, political crazy shit, who's the new WEFer who's in charge? Let's get to that, because we had this whole thing with Trudeau. We'll go to him in a moment. Trudeau finally has left the building 2 weeks ago. It's not new news, but we got rid of him before my trip, but now we're stuck with the new guy. And as always, welcome to the new boss, who's even worse than the old boss, basically. Here we go.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister.
On March 10th, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was seen carrying a chair from the House of Commons in Ottawa. Meanwhile, the image of him leaving the Parliament with tongue out, chair in hand, went viral on social media. Trudeau had actually announced his resignation as the leader of the Liberal Party on January 6th, and Mark Carney, following a landslide victory, officially took over as the new leader on March 10th.
So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust nationwide, competitive process.
Bye, bitch. But could we just like not have one for a little while?
Last night, I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Trudeau's formal resignation marked the end of his time as both Prime Minister and MP, though the chair he carried was more about tradition than any protest. Canada's Liberal Party elected Mark Carney as its leader, and he is set to replace Justin Trudeau as the Prime Minister of Canada. Mark Carney secured a win in the first ballot in a race that was triggered after Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, announced his intention to step down in early January after a mounting caucus revolt and a resignation of Chrystia Freeland from the cabinet.
It's almost like it was planned. Because let's look at Mark Carney a little bit. He's no stranger to WEF or the UN because he was a climate chief guy. Let's see a couple of videos about this gentleman, with this gentleman.
Time is running out to make this transition to net zero, to have a sustainable world. We need to transition the energy system on the scale of the Industrial Revolution at the speed of the digital transformation. In order to do that, we're going to need a fundamental transformation, really a revolution in the financial system. And I'd say that revolution started really in earnest with COP26. 2 years ago, only $5 trillion in the financial system was explicitly committed to net zero. That number grew to $130 trillion. That's 40% of global financial assets. Global financial institutions can play a number of roles to help economies in the transition. First, the most obvious is to get money, to get capital to those companies that have plans to get their emissions down. And so part of that is, I'd say, the easy bit, which is to build new renewable power, wind, solar, soon at great scale hydrogen, also hydroelectric, and in some cases nuclear. But the more complex part is finding those companies in industries that have high emissions. Think of the steel industry, aviation, much of manufacturing, and finding those companies that have plans, that have to make big investments to get those emissions down. To put a number around it, it's an extra $2.5 to $3 trillion a year of additional finance that we have to find in order to get those emissions down. But that's not all that finance can do. What finance has to do as well is to provide capital for the adaptation of our economies. We need to build more resilient infrastructure for the more extreme weather that we are already experiencing. And the tragic fact is that we are going to experience more droughts, more hurricanes, more extreme weather, and more damage. So we need to invest in that resiliency. And we need to provide better safety nets for people.
You know why that is. Geoengineering, DEW, look it up. Direct energy weapons, lasers, all kinds of fucking technology that's existed for quite some time is being used to manipulate the weather. And they don't even hide it anymore. You can find all the information about it, cloud seeding, all of that.
Around the world, and very much in the emerging and developing economies. Many of those who are most vulnerable have no financial protection when the most damaging aspects of climate change hit. And we need to do a much better job of providing that support, that coverage to help literally protect people. The most effective policies for accelerating emissions reductions are those policies that are very clear and provide certainty and incentives for businesses and for financial institutions to act. In Canada, there's a carbon price, and it is legislated. At the end of this decade, that carbon price is $170 per ton. The carbon price today in Canada is $50 a ton. But financial institutions and businesses know that if they take action today, they're saving that cost, because that's the decisive point. In Europe, there are a series of moratoriums on the sale of new internal combustion engine vehicles. In some cases 2030, in other cases 2035. And so that's part of the reason why we're seeing so much activity in the auto industry today to transform to produce only electric vehicles. So these deep decarbonization policies that at a date certain in the future tell industry, tell finance, tell all of stakeholders where countries are going to go, they provide the incentive to act today.
This is all well and good, but guess what? This is a failure. He failed at this. Then he is like, okay, now what do I do? And then I want you to know also that he is a big part of the agenda for WEF. He is an author. That means he has a lot of pull in the World Economic Forum. So let's look at his little res. Mark is also chair at Brookfield Asset Management, in addition to a Prime Minister Designate, Office of the Prime Minister Canada. So they've updated his page. That's nice. And then it says, in 1988, Bachelor's in Economics, Harvard University, 1993, Master's in Economics, and 1995, Doctorate in Economics. I didn't know there were economic doctors, but okay, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Oxford University, 13 years with Goldman Sachs in London, Tokyo, New York, Toronto, 2003 to 04. Deputy Governor, Bank of Canada, 2004 to 08. Senior Associate Deputy Minister of Finance, 2008 to 13. Governor of the Bank of Canada. Yeah, I've heard of this dude before. I've spoken of him. He's been at WEF. He's been at Bilderberg. Since July 2013, Governor of the Bank of England. And now he gets to go back to Canada. Chairman, Financial Stability Board, FSB. He is also an external member of the board of Stripe, a member of the Global Advisory Board of PIMCO, P-I-M-C-O, Harvard University, Rideau Hall Foundation, Bilderberg. They even have that in here. You think they want to hide the Bilderberg connection, but no. WEF and Bilderberg go hand in hand. The boards of Bloomberg Philanthropies, the Peterson Institute for International Economics, the Hoffman Institute for Global Business and Society at INSEAD, I-N-S-E-A-D, Cultivo, as well as Senior Counselor of the Macro Advisory Partners, Advisor of the Watershed, and Chair of Chatham House, which is Chatham House Rules as part of the Bohemian Grove. I mean, come on. He probably goes there too. The Group of 30, and also Advisory Board Chair for Canada 2020. And then we even have a little bit of articles here that he's written. Building Real Markets for the Good of the People, 2015. He's a good person. He's a good dude. Trust him. Mark Carney, Prime Minister Designate. Keeping the Patient Alive, Monetary Policy in Time of Great Disruption, in collaboration with the Bank of England, 2016. And then, how is inflation affected by globalization? Very much so, 2015. And not only was he active then, he's still active because he just did a WEF meeting. Let's look at a little bit of his conversation here at Davos 2024. This was posted January 18, 2024, so that was last year. And the speakers were Julio Velarde, Mark Carney, Thomas J. Jordan, Martin Wolf, Laura Alfaro, and Catherine Garrett Cox. And it's all change. What's next for monetary policy? Well, let's find out together, fam.
Turn to you, Catherine. How does the private sector feel about this mess? Sorry, this transitory shock.
Well, thank you very much, Martin.
I love when they laugh about the poors being poor. It's so funny. Oh, these poor, innocent, stupid people.
Well, yes, I'm always rather nervous of being on a panel with Mark. And I'm very glad that you started off by suggesting we don't get into the topic of short-term interest rates, because I think my perspective is that we've got to dispense with the obsession of the short term. And the reality is that, the short-term framing around topics such as this is distinctly unhelpful for what we need to tackle in the world today. And as we all know, monetary policy is also an imperfect tool. So the perspective that the private sector brings to this is mostly what we want to see is a resilient financial system. And there is no doubt that the short-term obsession with some of these topics is at, frankly, complete odds with the long-term investments that we have to make in areas of whether it's climate change, the whole transition that we need to see in the energy space, and more and more. And I think we'll probably come back to that in the second part of your panel. But I also think that one of the lessons that we've learned through this whole cycle, Martin, is that organizations need to be much better at stress testing. Yes, in part, that was a mandate from the central banks, and that has been helpful. But as a long-term investor, one of the things that we're really looking at is have organizations embedded more robust scenario analysis, stress testing into their corporate DNAs, because ultimately they will then be much more successful in the long term.
Okay, well, first, it's a pleasure to be with all of you, Catherine especially. I guess I'll put it in maybe the following framing, which is that for a long period up until, including post-financial crisis, really up until the COVID shock, most central banks, not all, but most central banks, certainly in the G7, were operating in a world of what's called divine coincidence, at least in central bank parlance. In other words, inflation was below target, and their economies were operating below potential. So to the extent to which they thought about a dual mandate, either formally in the US or getting the economy back to potential as a means to have inflation at target, both sides said one thing: stimulate. And the question was calibrating that stimulus and making sure that it was in the right direction. Okay. That is not the case when you have a supply shock. When you have a supply shock, as has been painfully demonstrated, you have to make trade-offs. And if you're an inflation targeter, you have to decide, to the extent you can as a central bank, and there's limits to your power, of course, the horizon over which you try to bring inflation back to target. That's the flexibility in inflation targeting. If it's a one-off oil price shock, for example, you look through it. But central banks were not faced with one-off supply shocks. They were faced with, like London buses, a series of supply shocks that showed up at the same time. And I very much re-emphasize one of the points that Julio made, and the Ukraine shock on the energy side and the knock-on effect of that on top of existing shocks that are coming out of COVID are significant. Now, we had this theoretical experience, or more than theoretical experience, at the Bank of England when we looked at Brexit. And this is in the public record because our scenario analysis was pulled out from us by Parliament. We viewed that it was a supply shock, which it has proved to be. And the consequence of that would be the economy would slow, the exchange rate would go down, inflation would go up, and the Bank of England would have to tighten interest rates. And that's exactly what happened. At the time that was released, apart from my central banking colleagues in private, nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, very few people recognized that as a credible scenario. That's how long the world had gone, you referenced the 70s, without a major supply shock that had some endurance. Next point, and I'll finish up, which is, so how has inflation come down? It's come down, and it hasn't come down, if I may, the job is not complete. Nobody's suggesting that it's complete, but progress has been made. And it's come down for two broad reasons. One, part of those supply shocks have unwound, particularly with respect to, obviously, COVID-induced issues with supply chains, challenges in the goods market, some recovery in labor markets as people have themselves gone back into the labor market. The energy price shock, of course, it can reemerge, but flows through. And then, crucially, the actions of the central banks in acting to tighten have moderated demand, such that there's a greater prospect of demand and supply being in balance. So that's the overall aspect. And the last point I'd just make is that the lesson I would take from this is the strength of the regime. There's issues of execution and the degree of difficulty that my peers, former peers, I guess, have had to deal with. But the strength of the regime, flexibility, crucial importance, point Catherine made, of macroprudential, of having a resilient financial system so the financial system itself can deal with these shocks. And I think you have to give very high marks to the central banks and other authorities because the system made it through those shocks. But the last point is that we are in a world, I would suggest, where we're going to see additional supply shocks with some relatively high degree of certainty, with some persistence. And just to finish on that, which is, we're effectively, the world is being rewired. Our trade routes are being rewired through de-risking of supply chains. That is a form of a supply shock. It will have some persistence. Obviously, energy systems are being rewired with addressing climate change. And so those are both, for a period, have some headwinds, ultimately could bring greater resilience, and moving in the other direction. And I think it's very early days, so I don't think it's showing up in supply today. But we have the rewiring of intelligence and the positive supply shock that will come, I suspect, and others here in Davos are better placed to comment on this and affect it. I suspect we don't start to see that until later in this decade. But then central banks will be grappling with headwinds and tailwinds, if you will, on supply, on top of their usual responsibilities of managing demand and a resilient financial system.
So this is the dude who is now in charge of Canada. And if you haven't heard, there's a terrifying event happening in Canada and the US. There's a trade war. Oh my gosh. So let's look at the government of Canada here. This was on March 4th, effective. So they are imposing 25% tariffs on $30 billion in goods imported from the United States. Don't worry, I'm not declaring shit. This was after the tariffs were announced against Canada, etc., from Trump. And it says these tariffs only apply to goods originating from the U.S., which shall be considered as those goods eligible to be marked as a good of the U.S. in accordance with the determination of country of origin for the purposes of marking goods, CUSMA countries regulations. These countermeasures are effective as of 12:01 a.m. March 4th, 2025, and will remain in place until the U.S. eliminates its tariffs against Canadian goods. So basically blackmail. Canada's countermeasures do not apply to U.S. goods that are in transit to Canada on the day on which they come into force. I guess that's good. Additional details on the administration of these tariffs are available on the Canada Border Services Agency website. Customs notices. The list of products outlined at the tariff item level in the table below should be read in conjunction with the schedule to Canada's customs tariff. This is the list of goods. Don't worry, I don't have any chickens with me or meat or anything. It's just a bunch of meat. Meat. Bunches of meat. Pig fat. It's disgusting shit. I would never try to eat or anything. Milk, yuck. Where are the eggs? Yogurt. Whey. Wait a minute. Butter, cheese and curd. Bird's eggs. Natural honey, tomatoes. Leguminous vegetables. No. Citrus fruit, other nuts, melons, apricots, cherries, peaches, plums, and sloes? What the fuck is a sloe? Sloe? I have no idea what the fuck that said. Fruits and nuts, coffee, tea. Not tea. Mate, pepper, vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, fennel, ginger, wheat, barley, rye, rice, rape or colza seeds, whether or not broken, fats and oils, sunflower seeds, seed oils, not the seed oils, I don't eat those anymore, but I accept the organic sunflower oil in my shout out to Simple Mills crackers. I enjoy them. It's the only thing with sunflower oil I have that I eat. Sausages, other meats. Cane or beet sugar? Ew, beet sugar. That's interesting, actually. I don't mind that. Molasses, sugar, cocoa, malt, pasta. Not the pasta. Oh my, it's a long list. 30 billion goods. Going all the way down. Footwear, fabrics. Nice. Tools, motorcycles, seats. Okay, it's a lot of shit. So, the news with that is regarding Mark Carney. I just got this video up. Let me start it over and then put it at the lowest level for you. And find the part where I want to focus on. Well, we'll have to use these auto-generated ones. I guess we'll just do this part. It's probably around the beginning of this. This is from 3 days ago in Ottawa, Canada.
Our workers and our industries during this difficult period. But above all, we will build a new Canadian economy. We will build Canada's.
That is what the point of this was, wasn't it? That's the whole fucking point.
Strong. Se battre pour nos travailleurs. Protéger notre économie et nos concitoyens. Bâtir un Canada fort. Il est évident que les États-Unis établir aura and
I'm sorry, his French is not good to me.
Our nation. But it's only the first step. Last night, the President of the United States reached out to schedule a call. I appreciate this opportunity to discuss how we can protect our workers and build our economies. I will make clear to the President that those interests are best served by cooperation and mutual respect, including of our sovereignty. Entre-temps, je viens de tenir une rencontre avec mon comité ministériel Canada-États-Unis. Je convoque une réunion des premiers ministres qui se tiendra demain.
Honestly, I feel like my French is better than his, but okay.
Je vais rencontrer mon conseil des relations canado-américaines et je parlerai aux chefs d'entreprise, aux syndicats et aux dirigeants autochtones. Ces discussions permettront d'avoir une réponse coordonnée en tenant compte ce que le président décidera de faire le 2 avril, date à laquelle il a menacé d'imposer des droits de douane supplémentaires. Soyons clairs. Nous sommes tous on the same page. We won't back down. We will respond forcefully. Nothing is off the table to defend our workers and our country. Now, to my fellow Canadians, I don't want to set unreasonable expectations. The road ahead will be long. There is no silver bullet. There is no quick fix. And I know and I understand that many are feeling anxious and worried about the future. Fundamental change is always unsettling. But I have every confidence in our country because I understand what President Trump does not. That we love Canada with every fiber of our being. Because we are stronger when we are together, and Canadians are uniting as never before. Now, we are going to have to live the lessons of recent months. First, that we have to look out for ourselves. And second, that we have to look out for each other. The federal government...
I mean, that's kind of hilarious, considering that that could be the same on this side. On the U.S. side, could be like, well, we're looking out for ourselves too. What's wrong with that? You know, it's a little weird.
The government will do everything in its power to protect Canadian workers and businesses. We will be here for you every step of the way. In the past week, my government committed to use every dollar collected from our retaliatory tariffs to protect our workers. Et la semaine dernière, j'ai annoncé plusieurs mesures de revenus ainsi que les entreprises puissent développement. Over the coming weeks, months, and years, we must fundamentally reimagine our economy. we will need to ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. What exactly the United States does next is unclear. But what is clear is that we, as Canadians, have agency. We have power. We are masters in our own home. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away. We can deal with this crisis best by building our strength right here at home. It will take hard work. It will take steady and focused determination from governments, from businesses, from labor, from Canadians. We will need to dramatically reduce our reliance on the United States. We will need to pivot our trade relationships elsewhere. And we will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations. But we can make ourselves more productive and therefore more competitive. We can break down internal trade barriers. We can build a stronger and more resilient economy. And that's what I'm squarely focused on as your Prime Minister.
By the way, there's supposed to be an election, like a legit election on April 28th, according to his Twitter. And so he's making all these fucking comments as an appointee to Prime Minister. He's not been elected. He's been selected by the party, the Liberal Party. Let's just look at one of these things. This is how a seasoned economist and now leader speaks, in well thought out paragraphs rather than slogans. Well, let's go to most recent, because relevance is in the eye of the beholder. This guy should be the next James Bond. Wow. He sounds like we are having war. What a couple of a-holes. And here we are all thinking Russia was the enemy. Turns out we were staring the enemy in the face all along. Okay, well. Do you have anything else really bright to say? I'm going to see if he mentions the election here. This was before the call. Hopefully the call went well. I want people to like me when I go there. Okay, here we go.
Second is that we know that there are going to be these reciprocal tariffs, as you referenced in your question, on the 2nd of April, as well as there are potential tariffs, or likely tariffs, I would put it, with respect to other, quote, strategic sectors to the Americans, forestry, lumber, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors.
Oh no, not our drugs. Oh, big pharma.
There was a comma after that. I'm sorry. It was a very long set of conditions, but it was to set up the point, which is that we have a number of measures that we can take in response to those initiatives. In our judgment, certainly my judgment, it doesn't make sense when there's a series of U.S. initiatives that are going to come in relatively rapid succession. To respond to each of them, we're going to know a lot more in a week, and we will respond then. And in a negotiation, it doesn't make sense to tip your hand and say what you're going to do going forward. So that is ça c'est la circonstance en français, si tu veux. Pas le Canada.
Okay, yeah, let's get to the latest news. All right, so here we go. Oh my gosh. We really are just doing a whole bunch of campaign stops. All right, this is from 2 days ago. The next day, let's see how things have changed.
Avons changé. Nous,
blah, blah,
these latest
blah.
tariffs is to fight, to protect, and to build. Hier, j'ai réuni mon comité tous engagés en du lancement des agences pour bâtir les autres. Dans le nouveau monde commercial, infrastructure that will help diversify our trade, create new jobs, and drive economic growth. We will now encourage our Canadian ports to cooperate with one another. Up until this moment, our ports have been competing with each other. In the new global economy, they need to work together. We'll also strengthen the security of our ports, put more boots on the ground, and use new technologies to stop the traffic of drugs such as fentanyl as well as illegal guns and stolen cars. Il est évident que les États-Unis ne sont pas. Must ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over.
That's the same thing you said yesterday. Are you serious?
What exactly the U.S. does next is unclear, but what is clear is that we as Canadians have
Oh, look, it's all scripted.
agency. We have power. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous in the Canadian economy. We can diversify our trading partners, including through new trade infrastructure.
Let's skip. See if there's anything relevant in here. Then I'm just going to put in today, because I want to see what happened, if anything, today. Da-da-da. Let's see how it ends.
Under his plan. Pardon? C'est la loi 96, le Parti libéral, nous sommes le...
And similarly, Quebec's ban on religious symbols has been challenged in the Supreme Court, and the federal government stated earlier this month their intention to intervene. Would you, Mr. Carney, maintain this intervention if elected?
Yes, this is a yes. A short answer. It's a judicial process, you know, and I think as well. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a constitutional expert.
You're also not a politician. I mean, I guess you are. Governor of Bank of England? Sure. Sure. Why not?
Our commitment is to ensure the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is respected and lived in this country. But we are fundamentally concerned with promoting all identities and all lived identities in this country. Thank you. Okay, merci. Merci beaucoup.
Uh-huh. All right, let me see if I can go back to this. I'm going to do today. Okay, so he campaigned today. So let's see what he looks really happy. He's excited about the election, I guess.
Who's ready to stand up for me, help me to get elected here in Nepean?
After a week on the campaign trail crossing the country, Mark Carney is officially launching his own race.
I hope to have the honor of representing you in Ottawa at this crucial time for Nepean, for Ottawa, for Ontario, for Canada.
It's the first time Carney is contesting a seat in Parliament or any level of elected government, but supporters and volunteers say his political inexperience hasn't slowed him down.
His reputation was spreading very positively, so it was a good start for him.
The Liberal leader is running for a seat the party has held since 2015 under former Liberal MP Chandra Arya. Arya was banned from running under the Liberal banner just days before the race began over a trip he took to India in 2024, during which he met with top Indian officials.
We were waiting for somebody else to come, a Liberal to place somebody else there, and now having Mark Carney, oh wow.
As the Liberal leader goes head-to-head with Pierre Poilievre, they're also geographically face-to-face, squaring off in ridings which share a border. But unlike Poilievre, Carney hasn't lived in his riding, though that's something pollsters say is unlikely to be a major hurdle.
I think it probably is an easier sell to people and fights that carpetbagger, mentality that he's not from here and therefore, he doesn't know our community. Mark Carney's lived in Ottawa many years.
While the Nepean seat is typically a safe one for the Liberals, it was also one that was under threat of flipping when the Conservatives were surging in the polls at the start of the year. Pollsters say that's unlikely to happen now, but it can't be written out. Heather.
So, yeah, that's happening. Let's see what Trump had to say about the tariffs, and then we're going to read this little article here so we can get a little more information.
So we'll effectively be charging a 25% tariff. But if you build your car in the United States, there's no tariff. And what that means is a lot of foreign car companies, a lot of companies are going to be in great shape because they've already built their plant, but their plants are underutilized, so they'll be able to expand them inexpensively and quickly. But others will come into our country and build, and they're already looking for sites. They're looking for mostly sites. They don't want to take the old buildings that are empty and falling down. They want to build new. It's off to the races. I think our automobile business will flourish like it's never flourished before. Yes, please, Will.
Thank you, sir. As you stated, we've prepared for your attention a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars and light trucks. This is in addition to tariffs that are already in place on those goods. In addition to, as you said, spurring increased domestic manufacture of cars and trucks, we expect that these tariffs will result in over $100 billion of new annual revenue to the United States of America in tariff revenue.
I think ultimately we could probably anywhere from $600 billion to $1 trillion will be taken in over the relatively short-term period, meaning a year from now. But starting right away. I think we'll go from 600 to $1 trillion within 2 years. And I think we'll be right from the beginning, we're going to be at a very high number.
All right. Sounds like that's going to go well. The Dow's looking pretty good, huh? Wow. Stocks. Trump tariffs life updates. President Trump's tariffs are reshaping U.S. trade policy and overhauling decades of free trade agreements with friend and foe alike. In the latest escalation of his trade war, Trump on Wednesday announced 25% tariffs on all foreign-made vehicles, which he said would take effect on April 2nd. Trump has been referring to that day as Liberation Day, when he has promised to impose so-called retaliatory tariffs on all U.S. trade partners. I don't know about so-called. They are retaliatory. I mean, come on now. They have tariffs. They're kind of high sometimes. The market is keen to find out how broad those duties will end up, and Trump has provided mixed signals. He has sent mixed signals on flexibility, but said this week that people are going to be pleasantly surprised at how fair and nice the duties are to other countries. Trump said he would hold a news conference on the reciprocal tariffs next week. Looking forward to it. But he has also warned the EU and Canada that they will face heftier tariffs than planned if they work together to do economic harm to the U.S. Yay! Here's the latest on where things stand on various other related fronts. And then it shows the tariffs and everything. And the April 2nd date for the Canada thing. Doesn't care if the prices are raised. All right. Anyway, tariffs are a trouble, but seem to be more opposed than actual war. Because let's not forget that the attacks in Yemen are ongoing through the U.S. government, and they are doing the bidding of Israel right now. So Israel is the only foreign government that will get their money, apparently. And Ukraine, of course, because they've continued to give them money. But anyway, let's move on back to the tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on your grocery bill. Canada places billboard in Ohio amid trade war. WHIO TV 7. Canada is looking to get the attention of Cincinnati residents. Originally reported by our news reporter, WCPO Cincinnati. A billboard off Norwood Lateral says, "Tariffs are a tax on your grocery bill." Then underneath it says, "Paid for by the Government of Canada," according to WCPO. The ad is a response to the Trump administration's trade war with Canada, WCPO says. Trump has called for Canada to become the 51st state, yeah, that happened, and has also signed an executive order that imposed a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico, and added tariffs for Canadian energy products and steel and aluminum, WCPO says. Trump has, on multiple occasions, paused or postponed some of the tariffs on Canada, but tensions remain high. On the same day the billboard was spotted, Trump announced a 25% tariff on all non-U.S. made cars, just like we said just now, starting April 2nd. Trump has also spoken about plans to add tariffs on lumber, copper, and computer chips, WCPO says. Last week, Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly told CNN Canada would be launching ads about the tariffs near major interstates across 12 states, including Florida, Georgia, Michigan, and Ohio, according to WCPO. We know very much that these states are red states, but we're doing that because we think we need to send a message to the American people for them to understand what's at stake, because this is really going to hurt their livelihoods and have an impact on their wallets. It's not political at all. Joly said. Joly is encouraging Americans to contact their legislators and let them know They are against the tariffs. Oh my gosh, I have better things to worry about, but thanks. Sure. What else did I want to discuss? Okay. So the other news, you saw the Tesla in the thumbnail. So Tesla, I won't get too into this, but Elon has gone after Tesla haters. Let's just look up Tesla, see how they're doing right now. We'll just be very fair and just look it up. See what we get. They're doing all right, I guess. News. Well, yeah, so this is in the news a lot now. Is Idaho man arrested after striking Tesla counter-protester with car. Police say I attended 2 Tesla takedown protests. One generation showed up more than others. Just a bunch of stuff. AstroTurfing alleged. Protests against Elon's role in the administration. Swarm Tesla showrooms. So a lot of protests of Tesla. And it's just like interesting timing because this dude has always been horrible. And he's always been a robot. I contend still that he is AI. He is not a human being. And now I kind of have proof. I don't know why I put Z. Hype Beast? Okay. Pink News, random. Let's just do this one. I don't know about the gay version. Anyway. March 29th, 2025. This is brand new news from yesterday and released by Elon himself on his favorite app, the X and Everything app. I'm having some water. Elon Musk says XAI acquired X. Elon Musk's AI startup XAI has acquired his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, in an all-stock deal he announced in a post on X Friday. He says, XAI has acquired X in an all-stock transaction. The combination values XAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion, $45 billion less $12 billion debt. Musk went on to describe the two companies' futures as intertwined. He added, "Today we officially take the step to combine the data models, compute, distribution, and talent." The acquisition places X, the highly influential social media platform Musk purchased in 2022, by the way, on my birthday, October 27th, thanks, asshole, under its former name Twitter, which I will always call it, firmly under the umbrella of Musk's AI startup, which he founded in 2023 to compete with OpenAI. Again, revenge shit. While XAI's products, including its AI chatbot Grok, which I can't get away from, sucks, I wish I could disable it, were tightly integrated into the X platform before this deal. Friday's acquisition further combines two of Musk's most high-profile companies. According to publications, including the Wall Street Journal, shares of X and XAI will be exchanged for shares of a new holding company called XAI Holdings Corp. The WSJ also reports that executives at both companies believe that it would be easier to raise money for a combined entity. Musk, who also leads Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, don't forget it, notes in his post that this deal values X at $33 billion, lowered from an enterprise value of $45 billion due to the company's $12 billion in debt. Musk originally purchased X for $44 billion in October 2022, again on my birthday, and took it private. However, the valuation has swung dramatically in recent years. At one point, Fidelity valued X at less than $10 billion. Boo. In the months since the inauguration of President Donald Trump, for whom Musk aggressively campaigned and for whom Musk now serves under as a special advisor leading Doge, X's valuation has risen, largely because investors believe the platform more influential now. Musk said in his post on Friday that X has more than 600 million active users. Musk launched XAI in 2023 and has since beefed up the startup with industry-leading AI researchers from Google DeepMind, all the favorites, Microsoft, and OpenAI, and built out the massive AI data centers needed to catch up with other frontier AI developers. By the way, really shitty for the environment, just saying. To fuel these efforts, Musk has gone on a historic fundraising campaign, including a $6 billion funding round in December that valued the startup at $45 billion. According to Musk, XAI's valuation is now even higher at $80 billion. XAI has largely been successful in its mad dash to catch up with OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and Anthropic. In February, the startup released Grok 3, a frontier AI model that's competitive with the industry's leading AI models on benchmarks measuring math, science, and coding. But XAI's successes have not stopped Musk from meddling with OpenAI, a startup he co-founded with Sam Altman. Musk is currently trying to thwart OpenAI's for-profit transition, which it needs to complete to secure future funding in more ways than one. The billionaire owner of XAI has made OpenAI's for-profit transition the centerpiece of his lawsuit against OpenAI. Musk also submitted a $97 billion takeover bid for Altman's startup in February. OpenAI's board promptly rejected the idea, but it already may have driven up the market price for OpenAI's assets. One of the major advantages that XAI has over OpenAI and other startups is its access to X. The large body of posts that X has accumulated over the years gives XAI a significant advantage in the race for AI training data. Further, X gives Musk's AI startup a huge consumer app to reach users in. And this is why, if you're wondering why I'm not as active on Twitter, this is why. I am not trying to train a fucking AI. No, thank you. Musk has a history of blurring the lines between his many companies, which has landed him in legal trouble before. With XAI's acquisition of X, the two are now effectively one, and the move suggests that X's true value may lie in advancing Musk's broader AI ambitions. Yes, that's the problem, Maxwell Zeff. Thank you for putting it so plainly. This is not good. This is not something to be celebrated. I don't care if you like Trump or whatever. This is not something to be celebrated. We should not be okay with this dystopian shit. Speaking of dystopian shit, I didn't even get to the the JFK files, which are also in the news, but not for a very good reason, because there's not a lot of information there that anyone's gleaned that is really helpful. And also the Epstein files, we still have none of. So there's that. So I'm going to wrap it up with the JFK files. We'll see the nothing burger that is at the moment. There was an assassination of another gentleman who worked for the CIA and who was mysteriously dispatched? That's not the word. Dispensed of. However, he was. So basically they released 80,000 fucking files. You can go to this website and read all of them if you can. There's many, many pages. It's not very searchable. It's not very interesting. So here's a website that's talking about it here. WHSV3. All right, let's see what Harrisonburg, Virginia, local news says about this incident, about this exciting news.
Batches of John F. Kennedy's documents were released, but many are still redacted. A UVA expert says what's hidden could be just as important as what's revealed. Our Gabby Womack tells us more.
With recently declassified JFK documents, experts say the biggest secrets could still be sealed, and what's inside could reshape how we see history.
There's a legitimate question to be raised. Why were they keeping all this secret?
That's the big question that Larry Sabato with the Center for Politics is asking after President Donald Trump ordered the release of some declassified documents of the JFK assassination. After 60 years, new details are coming to light. Sabato and his team are digging through them, and he says what they've found so far is alarming.
Our government participated in activities that are thoroughly embarrassing to us as a country. Activities that I hope we wouldn't do today, though sometimes I wonder.
Activities like widespread illegal surveillance, mail tampering, and keeping these records under wraps. Sabato says Trump promised full transparency, but after searching through the documents, a lot is still redacted.
These files aren't searchable. They're copies of carbon copies. They're difficult to read. You have to go back to whatever original pieces of the document we have to figure out what was unredacted.
Sabato and his team are still searching through the documents, and he says it'll take months to get through them.
This was about maintaining the image of the CIA, of the FBI, and there are a lot more pages to come out concerning the FBI that haven't even been released yet.
In Charlottesville, Gabby Womack, Virginia Weekend.
So yeah, basically, like, it's gonna take a while to get to, and there's not really a lot there for us. So yeah, that's basically where we're at. Again, we got an actual war going on. We got trade wars. We got Ryan Reynolds. We don't want Ryan Reynolds. Take him back. Oh, I should leave you with his new fucking ad here. Hold on. Because he's really trying to get more money. I'm sure he's in hot water with the case. So here's his little stupid ad here.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Most people in America, they associate me with soccer. And, I don't blame them. But the truth is, I love baseball. I've always loved baseball. And to prove it, I've asked my favorite professional baseball player to read a script that I personally wrote. Happy opening match, everyone. Yeah. Happy opening day. Huh? That doesn't sound right.
Are you looking for the grand slam of gins? Then step up to the plate and catch some Aviation American Gin. It's got big league flavor like citrus, lavender, and sarsaparilla. So every drink you make will bat 100. I think he means 1,000. But take it from me, all-star outfielder Brian Reynolds. Aviation Gin always hits a triple play. That doesn't mean what he thinks it means. Other gins are a swing and miss, but Aviation Gin is nothing but net. That's basketball. And remember, always drink in moderation and stay safe. Has Ryan ever seen baseball?
No, but he has seen all of Baldoni's work. Let's see what the people think. Yeah. Sure. Alright, anyway. He's also doing stuff with Deadpool here too. He's still posting stuff. He's still doing stuff. It's just, is he gonna keep his career? That's left to be determined. But you know who shouldn't keep his career? Mark Carney. Fuck Mark Carney. Take Ryan Reynolds. That's my last thing to say about Canada. And check out my YouTube, please, which you should be on right now. It should be very easy to subscribe or even like something if you would like to see more of the things that I make. That would be nice. I will have vlogs from Canada, eh? I will have vlogs from Vancouver. I'm going to Vancouver, and I will post those when I can. Probably while I'm there, maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, just stay tuned. I don't know. Stay vigilant. Stay smart. Don't let them fuck you up. Don't believe everything you hear and read. And really don't do that, because AI is every fucking where. And even this, okay, I didn't talk about it, the Signal chat and everything that everybody else is talking about and won't probably in a month. I didn't talk about it. But yeah, I don't believe much of anything anymore, because we are living in the metaverse, basically. They're creating it around us. Just know that. It's not going to be called the metaverse. It's AI now. It's just, it's the X-verse, whatever the hell it's going to be with Musk, but it's going to be similar. And you just got to be prepared for that. So, love your people. Enjoy your life. I don't know. Do your best. It's all we can ever do is our best. And that's all I can do. And I hope I did the best for you, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and got what you wanted out of it. And if you didn't, just let me the fuck know. I'm not a mind reader. I wish I could read minds sometimes, but not really, because then you'd have an influx of all this information you didn't want, and it would be too much to handle. So yeah, I don't really actually wish I could do that. But I did used to wish that I could teleport. That would be a cool one. Teleporting. But then if there were like side effects, that would be a problem. So anyway, yeah, just watch my shit, please. Thank you. I love you. Bye.